Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Nicole Walker, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. We have Mother's attorney, Mr. Kosorik. Mother is not present, but was properly noticed. The GAL for Mother has been excused since Mother's failed to appear. Putative father, Antonio Salazar, is present along with his attorney, Kristen Newhouse, child's attorney, Mary Golden. We have the foster parent and various agency workers. This is a contested adjudication in this matter. And Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I begin, I would just like to note for the record that I'm going to amend the petition to strike paragraph F. Then also, I would just also request to adjourn the the unknown father. It's my understanding that Mr. Salazar did a DNA test and that he came back as the bio father by 99.9% probability. And he has expressed an interest in taking custody of the child. And I know the agency is going to be working with him on that if the case is adjudicated today.
All right. Is there any objection to adjourning as to unknown father?
No.
No position, Your Honor.
All right. I will adjourn as to unknown father. Any objection to striking paragraph F from the petition?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
I think we can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Mario Jimenez.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Would you like me to let in Courtney?
Yes, I already let her in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Mario, can you please state and spell your full name for the record?
Mario Jimenez, MARIOJIMENEZ.
And how are you employed?
Through Children's Protective Services.
And are you familiar with the minor child, Gabriel?
I am.
And is Gabriel's date of birth 6/20/22?
Correct.
And who is the biological mother of Gabriel?
Irene Twishamy.
And who, and does Irene have any CPS history?
Yeah, she had one prior case.
And was she substantiated for that case?
No.
What was the CPS case? What did that involve?
Same, pretty much the same case. It was for homelessness and not being able to provide housing for her and her son.
Okay. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a critical question here. I believe I heard him testify that she was not previously substantiated. Mr. Jimenez, did you mean she was or she wasn't?
She wasn't.
Then I would object, Your Honor, proceeding any further on that issue. I think we have the answer.
What? Can I ask a few follow-up questions?
You sure can.
Okay. So in the prior CPS, just to clarify, Mr. Jimenez, in the prior CPS case, you're saying that she was not substantiated.
I'm sorry. She was substantiated for physical neglect in 2023.
Okay. And then after that case, did she have another CPS case?
Correct. This one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. And the child was removed?
In this case, he was.
Okay. And so you said that the previous case involved physical neglect. And is that the same allegations for this case?
It was due to unstable housing.
Okay. And what services did the why did she not have housing?
Originally she was living with her sister and roommate, and she was kicked out due to her sister moving out, and her sister moved to Ohio, and Irene was left with no housing. She was staying at a hotel for a couple days, and then apart from that, she was offered assistance through Family Promise, and one of the requirements was for her to find employment and continue employment, but she refused to do any of that.
Okay. And you said that she was in a hotel. Did she pay for that hotel, or was that provided by the agency?
It was provided by the agency.
Okay. And you said that one of the requirements to housing was that she receive a job, that she gets a job?
Correct.
And that she refused to do so?
Correct.
Did the agency offer any assistance in helping her find a job?
No.
Did she express an interest in wanting to get a job?
No, she did not.
Why did she not want to get a job?
She stated that she wanted to become a full-time student in the fall, and that in order to do full-time student, she wouldn't be able to work and take care of her son.
And in regards to her homelessness, did she explore any resources such as a shelter or housing assistance?
Yeah, she was provided information for Salvation Army and Family Promise.
And did she utilize any of those services?
No,
Did she have a desire to utilize any of those services?
no.
And then when discussing her financial situation as well as her housing, was she cooperative with CPS?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was able to speak with her. If I had questions, I was able to give her a phone call.
Okay. And then did you talk about, did the agency discuss with her what would happen if she didn't address these barriers?
She was addressed, and she stated that if it comes down to it, for us to remove her child.
Okay. And she understood that in order to prevent removal, she would have had to address those barriers.
Objection, that would go for speculation, whether or not she understood it, Your Honor.
I can rephrase. Did the agency explain to her what would happen if she didn't address those issues?
Correct.
And then following that discussion with with Irene, she still did not get a job or housing. Okay. And then did the agency also?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh.
The answer?
It's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And did Irene identify any relatives that would be able to assist with housing or her financial situation?
She referred to her sister, Violet, but after speaking with Violet, she wasn't able to help. She's in the same position. She doesn't have housing or have stable housing to bring them in.
Okay. And what services did the agency offer?
I'm sorry, as far as housing?
Housing and employment.
Again, it was Salvation Army and then Family Promise.
And was she able to provide, with her not having any job, did she receive any government assistance like WIC?
She was.
Okay. Was she able to provide food for Gabriel?
She was able to, but she also stated that due to living in a hotel or staying in a hotel, she wasn't able to provide proper food for him.
Okay. And the hotel, did it have continental breakfast?
It did.
Okay. Did she use the continental breakfast? She
stated she originally did, but due to her son being picky, they stopped going to it, and it wasn't. She stated it wasn't proper food for him.
Okay. And did Irene, did she express a desire to work?
No, she didn't.
Was she looking for employment?
No, she wasn't.
Did Irene, did she report to you any mental health issues?
She reported to having postpartum depression.
Was she taking any medication for that?
No, she stated she was self-medicating.
Okay. What was she self-medicating with?
Marijuana.
Had she seen a physician or a doctor for her depression?
No.
And did you talk to her about any medical care for Gabriel? Or did the agency?
I can't recall.
Okay. And was she able to provide for Gabriel financially?
No, she wasn't.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jimenez, did you ever ask her about the last time Gabriel had a well child checkup?
Um, again, I can't recall. I did pull the medical records though, and he wasn't up to date on immunization shots.
Has he had any immunizations?
Yes, they were the ones before a year old.
Okay, and so do you know when you looked at the medical records, the last time he was to the doctor?
Objection, hearsay, Judge.
I can't recall.
And when you talked to her about working, she indicated, you said she indicated she wanted to go to college rather than work. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did she make any other statements about taking care of Gabriel if she couldn't work? Did she make any statements? If she was forced to work, did she make any statements about Gabriel?
If she stated that she wasn't going to be forced to work, and that no one could force her, and that if it comes down to it, CPS would have to remove her child, and she understood.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik,
No questions of this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Newhouse.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez, you were at the preliminary hearing in this matter on July 31. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did Assistant Prosecutor Laura Clifton call the mother, Irene Tuashimi, as a witness?
Correct.
Did she verify everything that was in your complaint, pretty much in your petition?
Correct.
Did she state on the record under oath that there was no job that she was willing to do?
Correct.
Did she also state that it didn't seem like she could take care of herself and her child?
Correct.
Did she state that she was giving her sister her food stamps? If you recall.
I can't recall. Sorry.
Okay. Did she also admit that she'd been prescribed medications for depression?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did she admit she wasn't taking medications?
She did.
And did she state that she had deleted, did she state the father was in Texas?
Correct.
Did she tell the court under oath that she had deleted his phone number?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Walker, any follow-up?
No additional follow-ups, Your Honor.
Ms. Golden,
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kasorik.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Any additional witnesses? Ms. Walker.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to call Amanda Lang.
Ms. Lang, would you unmute and raise your right hand,
Lang.
please?
And how are you employed?
I am employed at Family Promise.
And are you familiar with Miss Irene Tuashim?
Yes, we had a few contacts together.
And did she have a case open with Family Promise?
Yes.
And did she participate in that service?
She very minimal.
Okay.
We had
What
just
did
a couple contacts.
what did she do? Like how did
She had an initial intake on April 24th, and then I didn't hear anything from her until 7:15, and that was when she was looking for long-term support.
And what services did Family Promise offer?
I'm in the diversion programs, so we work on finding our ultimate goal is getting into permanent housing. So we set up goals and the initial intake of, what are the barriers of housing? What can we do to work on, small goals that we can set up to work on breaking down those barriers and getting into housing. And so when she called back on 7:15, I kind of went over those goals, and she was not wanting to work on those goals. So,
Did she say why she wasn't wanting to work on those goals or towards those goals?
she said that her main goal is to get into college full time, and her skill sets don't match any manual labor, and that working is not an option at this time for her.
And did she explain what skills she did have?
No, she was not. She was very upset at that time that I kept encouraging her to increase her income.
Okay. And did you talk to her about her financial situation?
I did, yes. We discussed different options.
Okay. And what options did you guys discuss?
I discussed that she could go to school full time and still work part time. We can work on getting, DHHS assistance for childcare for her son, getting into income based housing, but she had some sort of income, and that was not, as soon as I mentioned employment and permanent housing, she said that's not for her. That's no longer an option.
Okay. And she and this was prior to Gabriel being removed from her care.
I believe so. Yes, they're in the hotel still.
And did she have any plan or anything to address her housing or financial situation?
No, she said that if I didn't have a program that would take care of her and Gabriel while she was in college for 4 to 8 years, then there's there's no reason for her to work with me.
And was that the only time that you met with Irene?
I met with her one other time on 7/19, just to kind of give her a couple days and then touch base with her again to just kind of go over everything and talk with her about what the services are and if she wanted to, stick with that or, come work on overcoming her barriers and getting employment in that. And she was very adamant that she does not want to work in housing. She does not want to work on employment. Her focus is going to college, even if that means putting her son in foster care and letting somebody else raise him.
And was the case ultimately closed?
It was, yes.
And when did the case close?
I ended up closing that on 7/23.
And what was the reason for the for closing the case out?
Not wanting to work the program.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Golden,
I have no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kasorik,
Thank you. Ms. Lang, have you discussed with her the need for her to work part-time even if she goes to college?
Yes, I did.
And why that was a need for her to work while attending college?
Because our program is housing based. And so our main goal or our only goal in our program is to get into permanent housing. She was utilizing, the hotel. We didn't have shelter space. I did offer shelter to put her on the shelter wait list, or not the wait list, but the radar to be able to get into shelter when an opening came. And she said, if it's not long term and I can't stay there for the full time while I'm in college, I don't want it.
All right. Did it appear to you in your discussions that Ms. Twishemi apparently had some mental health issues?
I can't answer to that because everything I did with her was over the phone.
All right. Were her responses appropriate?
Yes. She was very clear. I restated questions. I would ask her multiple times, do you understand do you understand the situation? And she said, yes. And then she would reiterate things back to me.
Did you give her any referrals for employment?
I did send her an email during our intake for employment resources. I asked her on the 15th when we talked if she would like me to send more referrals, and she declined those.
In your interaction with Ms. Twishemi, did it appear to you that those responses that you received from her were not appropriate?
I don't know appropriate in terms of what.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the question that calls for speculation as to whether.
Well, let me rephrase the question then. You've worked with clients before, have you not?
Yes.
And have you had a situation where the response was, I'm not doing anything unless I get a permanent long-term housing?
Not in those exact words, but we do have people that decline because we can't offer them the housing that they feel they need.
But not a total refusal, am I correct?
I have had people totally refuse, yes. This is an optional program.
All right. And that's why it's an optional program. Thank you.
Ms. Newhouse,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Walker, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Walker, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Golden, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Newhouse, since we're adjourning as to your client, I assume you have none either.
No witnesses, thank you.
All right. Statements, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Based on the testimony that we heard today, I believe that there is grounds to take jurisdiction over this matter. We did hear testimony that the mother is, her barriers are homelessness as well as employment, also mental health issues, and financial. She is unwilling to participate in any of the services that have offered. She's expressed that numerous times to both the CPS worker as well as the family promise worker. She stated her only priority was to go to college, which is an admirable goal, but she was aware of these issues, aware of the consequences of focusing on school as opposed to getting employment, even finding employment to fit her limited skill set. She did not like the answer, so she simply just refused. she made no efforts to seek employment or to seek housing. There were no alternatives that she was able to provide. And so based on that, I believe that the court does have enough, that one or more of the allegations have been proven. And I would ask that the court make Miss Irene Tuashima a respondent in this matter and make Gabriel temporary ward of the court.
Thank you, Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I simply support the prosecutor's statement. And I would ask the court to make Gabriel or GJ a temporary court ward. Thank you.
Mr. Kiswark.
I'm in a pickle, Your Honor. However, I would have to simply place a general objection to the recommendations of this court taking jurisdiction on my client's behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
I will waive statement, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. The court finds that a petition has been submitted alleging that this child comes within the provisions of MCL 712A.2b. That based on the testimony, there's probable cause to believe that the putative father is Antonio Salazar. That the respondent mother failed to appear today, but was represented by an attorney. That by a preponderance of the evidence after trial, there are statutory grounds to exercise jurisdiction over this child. The statutory grounds are failure to provide when able to do so, support, education, medical, surgical, or other necessary care for health and morals in an unfit home environment by reason of neglect, cruelty, drunkenness, criminality, or depravity on the part of a parent, guardian, non-parent, adult, or other custodian. Those findings or that conclusion is based on the finding that the prosecution has proven paragraph A, paragraph C in total, paragraph D, paragraph E to the extent that it contains admissions by Ms. Tuashima that she was homeless. She was diagnosed with postpartum depression and was not currently taking medication and not seeing a doctor. An admission by her that she could not take care of the child financially. That safety planning was completed to identify alternative housing or living arrangements for herself and the child, but she was unable to identify an appropriate alternative living arrangement. Paragraph G, to the extent that Ms. Lang testified that she closed Ms. Tuashima's case due to her being unwilling to work and receive housing. Paragraph H, that Ms. Tuashima expressed that she would not work because she was going to go to college full-time in the fall. Contrary to the welfare findings were made in a prior order, consistent with the circumstances, reasonable efforts to prevent or remove this child were made as determined by a prior order. Reasonable efforts shall be made to preserve and unify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return to a parent's home. The custody of the child with the legal parent presents a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. No provision of service or other arrangement except removal is reasonably available to adequately safeguard the child from the risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. The court orders that the child be placed with the Department for Care and Supervision. And are we prepared to move on to disposition, Ms. Golden?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. And Ms. Walker, would you and your adjudicated witnesses wish to be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any objection?
No,
None.
Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Michelle Magnuson.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Okay. Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I get started, Your Honor, I have two exhibits. I would ask if we could admit those first.
All right.
Your Honor, I have the CPS report. I have a letter on the top of the report that says September 5th, 2024, connected to the report is Exhibit 1. It's the CPS investigation report. And then, Your Honor, as Exhibit 2, I have the case service plan of 8/28/2024 with the parent agency treatment plan. I would ask those be marked as Exhibits 1 and 2 and move for their admission.
Any objection?
No
No, Your
objection.
Honor.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, you are the foster care worker in this case, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and you've been working with, and we'll refer to him as GJ, okay, throughout this hearing. He is placed in licensed foster care, is that correct?
yes,
And did you check into any family members with Ms. Toshueme to see if she had any families appropriate for placement?
yes, we did. She has a sister, Violet. She mentioned a stepmother, but not by a name, and that her father was taking care of his wife, and so he wouldn't be able to. As for, go ahead.
Did you reach out to the sister Violet to see if she was able to take care of the child?
I did, and it was stated that she was homeless as well and was looking for employment.
Okay, so how is GJ doing in his current placement?
He is thriving.
Okay, and what about, let's talk about immunizations. I know we talked about them in the first part of this hearing. Do you know what immunizations he's received and which ones he needs right now?
I would have to check my notes on that. However, what I do know, the last immunization, he was 4 months old, according to Ms. Trissimi.
Okay, so just working with children, you're familiar with some of the immunizations that have to occur after that time, is that correct?
Correct.
So there's some, we know that there are some that he still needs to have, is that true?
Correct.
Okay, and you'll check into that?
I have it in my notes if I can pull it up right now.
Okay, if you could do that, that would be great.
He is overdue for the DTP, so the DTaP. He is overdue for hepatitis A. He is overdue for the HIV. He is overdue for the MMR. He is overdue for the pneumococcal conjugate. He is overdue for polio and overdue for the varicella.
Okay, and have you talked to Ms. Toshueme about those immunizations?
I did at our intake meeting on August 14th.
Okay, and what did she say about those immunizations?
She said he has not been sick since then, so it's not necessary to have those immunizations.
Did she have any other objection to those immunizations?
She said it was not necessary and she was not going to give them to her child.
Okay, and have you had any contact with her since August 14th?
I have. It was periodically. It's been mainly through phone and text, but it's been more sporadically.
Okay, so when was the last time you had any communication with her?
That was about 2 weeks ago. I don't have the exact date, but I did reach out to her regarding visitation, coming into work with resources, and she informed me, I've told you from our intake meeting, I do not want services.
Okay, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I just want to focus on the immunizations. So when you talked to her about the immunizations, did you again ask her about is there a need for those? I mean, is there a need for, he's in daycare, correct? He's in some child care facility with other kids, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and is there some issue now because he doesn't have some of these immunizations with him getting child care at that place?
There is a waiver that needs to be signed by Ms. Trishimi stating that she does not want the immunizations. So I would have to get more information, but I know it is recommended by the daycare facility that the child be updated on immunizations.
Okay, all right. So then let's talk about his well child checkups. Do you know the last time he was at the doctor's office for a well child checkup?
I do. He was taken by the foster parent on August 12th.
Okay, but prior to that, do you know the last time he was at the doctor's office?
Yeah, I do not.
Okay, so he's up to date currently. on that. What about dental? Is he too young for dental, or is he being taken to the dentist for his first appointment?
By the foster parent, he has been.
Okay, and when was that? Do you know?
I don't have the correct date with me at the moment, but there is follow-up from the findings on October 11th that is scheduled.
So he's going back on October 11th?
Correct.
Okay. So, and what about developmentally? Is he on track, or are there any concerns?
There are some concerns in regards for speech and in regards for his feeding. There's been food aversion. However, in the home, he's been speaking more, identifying colors. So he's a very smart little boy, and he seems to be starting to get on track. However, a recommendation was made to have him in Head Start to verify where he is at.
And has that been done yet? Have they assessed him?
That has not been due to needing permission from Ms. Twishimi, and she's been unable to contact in regards to that.
So you would like the court to order that today, if possible, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the food aversion, he just isn't willing to eat certain foods, or he's very limited on what he's eating. Is that what it is?
He's not willing to eat certain foods. He wants French fries is the main thing he likes. Fruit. He's just very hesitant about trying anything new.
Okay. Are there any behavioral concerns?
No.
Okay. And so is there anything else about GJ before we go on to the mother?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about Ms. Toshime.
Mhm.
You said, you talked to her the last time was 2 weeks ago?
Roughly.
Okay, and I think you indicated it's been last communication over the last couple weeks. Is that what you testified to?
That is correct.
How do you reach her? Is she, first of all, where is she residing? Do we know that?
I do not know for sure.
Okay, is she in, do we know if she's in Michigan or if she's in another state?
The last that I heard that she was in Michigan, that was probably a week and a half ago when I had received a voicemail from her.
Okay, and so you have a current phone number for her?
The current phone number I have, it's been updated since last time. However, she's unable to be reached at that number.
Okay, and how do you know that that's her number?
It was given to me by her sister Violet.
Okay. And so you texted her, when you talked to her 2 weeks ago, was that the number you used?
Yes.
Okay. And she knows how to get a hold of you, obviously, correct? She has your
Yes.
number? Okay.
Correct.
And so let's talk about her barriers. So housing is one of the biggest barriers, and you don't currently know where she's living, correct?
Correct.
And have you attempted to make any referrals for her for housing?
I have not, because during our intake meeting that we had with her, she made it very clear that she did not want any of our resources.
Okay, and is she aware that she needs to work on these barriers in order to get her child returned to her care?
That it had been explained to her, and she had, as I'm going to repeat, at the intake meeting, she had stated she does not want our services.
Okay, but you'll continue to reach out to her, correct?
Correct.
And so as far as depression, do you know if has had any, if she's seeing any doctor for medication, or if she's going to therapy for that?
I do not know if she's seeing a doctor outside of our services or therapy for that. That I do not know.
Okay, have you asked her that?
During the intake, I have, and she stated no.
Okay, and as far as employment, do you know if she's employed at this point?
To the best of my knowledge, at this point, she is not employed.
So employment and financial resources is another barrier, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what other barriers are there for her?
Parenting skills.
Okay, and what are the barriers?
We had one parenting time that she was here. Interaction, emotional stability. It was very limited with GJ.
What do you mean it was very limited?
The interaction, there was very little interaction between her and the child.
So does there appear to be a bond between her and the child?
I would say yes to an extent.
Okay. So have you tried to refer her to some type of parenting class?
I have not referred her due to her not wanting our services.
Okay. So a parenting time, how often have you offered that to her?
She is scheduled to have it twice a week, Monday and Wednesday, and she has not been attending those.
Okay, so do you know how many she's been offered and how many she's missed?
She has attended one, and which was on August 14th. So since then, she has not been to any other parenting time. So
did she attend parenting time prior to that?
the first parenting time was on August 14th.
And so the child was removed on July 31st. Why did it take so long for her to have parenting time set up?
It was trying to contact her and also to schedule it for her.
Okay. And when she's offered parenting time, is it for more than an hour on Monday and Wednesdays?
It is for 1 hour. That's what we generally start out with.
Okay. Anything else? So you'll continue to reach out to Ms. Tushime to try and engage her?
Yes.
Okay, and so let's see. You have had contact with an Antonio Salazar, is that correct?
Correct.
And you guys did a DNA test on him because he was named or noted as the putative father, correct?
Correct.
And when did you get the DNA results back?
That was last Friday. I can get the exact date. One moment, please. On September 20th.
Okay, and what were the results?
They came back positive as Antonio Salazar is the father of GJ.
Okay, and based on that, have you then had continued contact with him since those test results? Okay. And is he interested in having contact with JG?
Yes.
GJ, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Is he interested in having placement with GJ?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to start an interstate compact right now, or do you have to wait until he's actually the legal father of GJ?
We have started the ICPC that because he needs to be assessed.
Okay. And in the meantime, is he able to have any type of like contact with the child through like a video or telephone or anything like that?
Yes, we can arrange that.
Okay. So you'll continue to give him updates and work with him until we get some results from either determined to be the legal father and then the interstate compact being completed, correct?
Correct.
What are your recommendations for today?
My recommendations for today, it is respectfully recommended that GJ remain a temporary court ward placed in licensed foster care or with an appropriate relative. It is respectfully recommended that Ms. Tushime participate in and benefit from our parent agency treatment plan. It is recommended that parenting times for Ms. Tushime remain supervised at the discretion of the agency. And it is recommended to continue contact with Antonio Salazar to see if a bond can be connected between him and GJ. And it is recommended that the matter should be reviewed in 90 days.
Okay, and parenting time for Mr. Salazar, what is your recommendation?
The recommendation for that, due to Mr. Salazar.
I'm gonna interrupt. I don't think since he's been adjudicated that I can order parenting time, so.
Okay.
All right,
The discretion of the
I'll withdraw that
agency.
question. I'll withdraw that question. All right, anything else?
As for recommendations or
Yeah, for recommendations.
no.
Okay, did we miss anything that you feel the court should be made aware of?
One thing I do feel that the court should be made aware of during our intake process with Ms. Tushime, she did not complete the intake with us. She stated to me that You are not listening and respecting my wishes. And when she was at the intake, just prior to that, she had visiting time with her son. She was planning on taking her son home that day. And she stated, if I cannot have my son, then you can have him.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Kasarik.
Thank you, Ms. Magnuson. Based on the statement that you just referred to, you believe that there's some pretty heavy mental health issues.
I am not, I do not have the knowledge or know-how or the experience or the licensing to state if she does or does not.
But it doesn't sound normal, does it?
I cannot answer that.
All right, let me follow up. If you have contact with Ms. Twishimi, will you be strongly urging her to do a psychological so we know what's going on?
Yes,
Okay. Likewise, did she actually complete any visiting time with her son?
one,
Did you have a chance to observe that parenting time?
I did.
And how did it go?
Ms. Twishimi interacted briefly with GJ. She was sitting at the table and was on her phone while GJ was just playing with toys. There was a time that GJ sat up on her lap and they read a book together.
So that interaction appeared appropriate at that time, did it not?
Correct.
Right. The phone number that you received from Ms. Twishimi's sister, Violet, is a phone number that simply you can't reach anybody at, correct?
Not at this time.
Does it identify as Ms. Twishimi on the other end in voicemail?
It does not.
It's just a general answering machine context.
The last time I called the phone number, it was an automated message saying that this phone is not taking messages at this time.
All right. However, you will attempt to reach out to Ms. Twishimi.
Yes,
Have you reached out to Violet to see where she may be at? That is Ms. Twishimi.
yes.
Did you get any response?
Not from Violet.
Are there any other relatives that you can have contact with that you know of?
No,
Did Ms. Twishimi actually execute a non-participation agreement with the agency?
she had not.
But you discussed it with her?
Yes,
And when was that discussion?
that was it happened twice. The first time was at the intake meeting on August 14th with the advisement to speak with her lawyer before signing. The second time was when I spoke with her about 2 weeks ago. Again, with that phone conversation, she did not want our services, and she was planning on coming on September 20th to our office to sign the non-participation agreement. Again, she was advised to speak with her lawyer, and she replied, "It is not necessary."
However, should she have contact with you and your agency, you will offer her services?
Yes,
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
So thank you for getting the DNA done so efficiently. Much appreciated. That's my statement to you, but you are trying to determine whether or not the unknown father, potential father, Mr. Salazar, is appropriate through an ICPC. Is that correct? You have to say yes or no.
yes,
And your supervisor, Ms. Cottridge, tells me that it can take some time, but it can be expedited if the court orders what's called a Regulation 7 to expedite it. Has she told you that?
yes,
Are you requesting that from the court too today?
yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Writing that down because that's a new one on me. Expedited ICPC. Okay.
And she's calling it, Your Honor, sorry.
Regulation 7, you said?
Regulation 7.
Okay. I just want to make sure the order is correct so that there's not a loophole there.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any witnesses?
No, thank you.
Ms. Newhouse, witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, statements. Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I did have a chance to see this little guy. He's so adorable. I saw him at his daycare. And I was going to request an order for immunizations, but because we didn't have clear testimony about what ones were needed or necessary or absolutely had to have to remain in daycare, I'm going to check on that and I will submit an ex parte order, consistent with NRA Dang and ask for that at a later point. But I do agree with the recommendations. He's a cute little boy. I know he needs some services for speech and helping him eat more healthy foods. I am glad to hear that Mr. Salazar is interested in custody of this child, and I'm hoping that he can become the legal father as soon as possible, and that the ICPC can be expedited. So we could be looking at placement sooner than later. But I do agree with the recommendations. The foster care mother I spoke to as well, and she's meeting the needs of this little guy and doing a great job, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kasorik.
Well, Your Honor, as I've stated before, I guess my client and myself are in a bit of a pickle since I don't have her here. However, I would place a general objection as to the recommendation. I would simply also ask on my client's behalf, since she did object to any continued immunization of her child at this time, that we postpone the issue until Mr. Salazar becomes illegal, and then he can give the authorization for such immunizations, which may be a better way to address that issue. Otherwise,
I don't want to forget this issue. As everyone knows, ex parte motions for relief have to show irreparable harm if it's not granted. So I will just leave that at this point. Right. Mr. Stark, please continue your statement.
And otherwise, I would simply urge that the agency try to reach out to my client and urge her to at least participate in services. It strongly appears to me that there are some mental health issues that have been unaddressed that need to be addressed with her. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Thank you. On behalf of the unknown father and the biological father, putative father Antonio Salazar, we support the recommendations and are anxious to get that ICPC going. And I will be submitting a request for ancillary legal services for Mr. Salazar to begin a paternity custody action. I did get kind of temporary approval through Mr. Thalmeyer a few minutes ago to be able to do that myself. So I'll be submitting that on his behalf. He and I have talked about that. He understands what he needs to do. So thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute. Consistent with the circumstances, reasonable efforts to prevent or eliminate removal of the child from the home were made as determined in a prior order. That reasonable efforts shall be made to preserve and unify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home to a parent. That custody of the child with the parent, the legal parent, presents a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, and mental well-being. That the court orders that this child continue in the temporary custody of the court and be placed with the Department for Care and Supervision. Let's see. I will also order that the agency expedite the ICPC request under Regulation 7. I will continue the attorneys in this matter. Let's see here. That the adjudicated respondent mother shall comply with and benefit from the case service plan. That her parenting time is at the discretion of the department. that reasonable efforts have been made to finalize the court-approved permanency plan of return to the parent for this child. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our review hearing? And I'm assuming that we're gonna want that also to be an adjudication hearing regarding the allegation regarding father, potentially.
Okay, would you like a 3-hour time slot?
Yes, I think that's appropriate, but 3 months.
Okay, we could do December 18 at 9 a.m.
Any
9 to
count?
12.
Your Honor, I have a conflict at that time.
Okay, then we'll look for something else.
Ms. Golden, are you free in the afternoon that day?
No, that whole day I am completely booked.
Okay, one moment, please. How is December 17th from 3 to 5?
And I have MIs in the
I,
afternoon.
I have an adjudication with Judge Bryant that afternoon.
Okay, keep
Okay.
trying, Lisa.
All right, how about Monday, December 16, starting at 2 o'clock?
That works here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bingo.
So
All right,
shall we say 2 to 4?
that's fine.
And by Zoom, correct?
In A, present in the virtual courtroom, we have Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Nicole Walker. We have Mother's Attorney Roman Kasorik, Mother's Guardian Ad Litem Charlie Clapp. We have Putative Father Antonio Salazar, his attorney Ms. Newhouse. For Mary Golden, Lawyer Guardian Ad Litem, Steve Simpkins is appearing for her due to some medical issues that she's having. We also have the foster care worker, Ms. Magnuson, as well as her supervisor, and we have a foster parent. And we are here for adjudication on the unknown father. Is that correct, Ms. Walker?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Would you like to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Michelle Magnuson.
Okay.
Last we were here, we adjudicated on the mother and we adjourned for the putative father. Who is the putative father of Gabriel?
Antonio Salazar.
And has Mr. Salazar had any contact with the agency?
The contact I had previously with Mr. Salazar, we had a DNA test done showing that he is the father of Gabriel. We also expedited an ICPC because Mr. Salazar is, or I don't know if he still is in Texas or not, to get that communication started.
And then other than the DNA, is there, has he started any paternity actions to establish himself as the legal father of Gabriel?
Not that I am aware of.
And has the agency offered assistance to establish himself as legal father?
As I stated before, we had expedited an ICPC since he was originated in Texas. So then a sister resource or company would be able to get an AOP signed and notarized.
And were they able to get the affidavit?
No.
Why not?
Because Mr. Salazar had declined the ICPC and stated he was moving to Michigan.
Okay. And did the agency, did you have consistent contact with Mr. Salazar?
It was not consistent and not on a regular basis. There was a while where he had lost his phone. So there was no contact. And I was given information that he had been using his niece's phone, not that recently, which I had not reached out to him on that phone. And I would probably say a couple weeks ago, if I can say it this way, that I had a butt dial from his original number and I could hear something about saying in a couch. So I thought it was kind of odd.
And then following the denial with ICPC, you've tried to get a hold of him so that he can be involved in this case?
Yes.
And it was unsuccessful?
Yes.
And that's due to him not having a cell phone?
His cell phone was broken at the time.
Okay.
Which I did not know.
And how long were you out of contact with him approximately?
I would have to say at least a month. And that would be about recently. The last I had talked to him was close to the end of October when he stated he was moving to Michigan.
And so at this time, Mr. the legal father for Gabriel is unknown.
Correct.
And does the unknown father provide any care, custody, or financial or emotional support to Gabriel?
No,
And has the unknown father done anything to rectify the conditions that caused this case to come before the court?
not that I am aware of.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Simpkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Has Mr. Salazar had any contact with GUJ at all?
No, I would say no.
Okay. Has it been explained to him that he would need to participate in some type of treatment plan upon becoming the legal father in order to have visits with GUJ?
That has not been explained. I wanted to explain that to him once he had come up here or come to Michigan.
Okay. Has he arrived in Michigan yet?
I do not know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kosarik.
No questions of this witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Thank you. Are you aware that Mr. Salazar was referred to a paternity attorney, Deb Coletti, here in town?
I was not.
Okay. And when have you had any conversations with the mother about signing an affidavit of parentage?
No, not of the affidavit of parentage.
Okay. But you're saying Mr. Salazar refused to fill out his portion?
I did not say he refused. It just was not completed with the ICPC in Texas. So I'm unaware of what happened here in Michigan.
Okay. So the ICPC couldn't go forward because he didn't have a residence there to check out, or what? What's your understanding?
My understanding is that he just declined the ICPC. I do not know the reasons for it.
Okay. Is that something that's off the table now, or could we get that back in place should he change his mind and decide he wants to do that now?
I do not know if we can get that expedited or what the process is for that. The ICPC is for, as far as I know, is for out of state, and I do not know where Mr. Salazar resides.
Okay. So as far as your recommendations today, would you like the continuing language that Judge McNabb was kind enough to put in there last time, that we do it expedited if he's willing to do that?
Yes.
And at the last hearing, we talked about him possibly having a Zoom contact with his child. He's not asked for that, or you've not offered it? I'm unclear.
It has not been asked and it's not been offered. Gabriel, or I don't know if we're going by initials or by name.
Yes, initials, because this is being live streamed.
Yeah. GUJ is 2 years old, so I do not know how long those virtual visits would last, even if it would be possible, due to his attention span.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, any follow-up?
Just briefly. And then since you've had contact with Mr. Salazar, has he provided you any paperwork or anything to show that he's met with his paternity or the attorney that's working on his paternity?
No.
And then with regards to visits, were they unable to be conducted in part due to him not having a phone, Mr. Salazar?
Yes. And also unknown whereabouts, if it was Texas or Michigan.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Simpkins, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Kosarik?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Newhouse?
No, thank you.
All right. Any additional witnesses, Ms. Walker?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kosarik, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Newhouse, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Simpkins, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Statements, Ms. Walker?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd ask that the court make the unknown father respondent in this matter. It sounds like Mr. Salazar has expressed an interest to become legal father, but he hasn't followed through with anything to do so. The agency tried to set up ICPC. They were unable to do that in part due to him not being located. He's been provided an attorney to assist him with maternity. He hasn't provided the agency with anything to show that he's established it. So at this time, based on the services that have been offered and the fact that we don't have a legal father, I'd ask that the court make unknown father a respondent in this case.
Thank you. Mr. Simpkins?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I agree with everything that Ms. Walker just mentioned. I mean, obviously, Mr. Salazar took the steps to at least take a DNA test, which we now know he is the biological father. He's expressed some interest in trying to become a part of this case. He's just not done enough yet. So I do think I agree that we need to make the unknown father a respondent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse?
Thank you. Your Honor, I had discussions with my client, unknown father / Mr. Salazar, and he continues to want to be father and is interested in custody. He had a few little setbacks, but he's biological. That's been proven by the DNA. And I don't think it's because he's refusing to provide. It's just that he has some things that he had to get put in place. This has caught him off guard. He did not know that he was the father of this child. And by making him a respondent, I have kind of mixed feelings about that. I think he's open to services, things that can help him be a good father to the child. And as far as omissions as to coming forward, once again, he wasn't aware he was the father. He will continue working with Ms. Coletti to get the paternity filed, and we'll proceed with that. Thank you.
Mr. Kosarik?
I take no position, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Based on testimony, there's probable cause to believe that the putative father is Antonio Salazar. However, at this point, the court will find that the legal father is unknown, that the respondent unknown father was represented by an attorney today, that by a preponderance of the evidence after trial, the court finds that the unknown father, there are statutory grounds to exercise jurisdiction over the child based on an unknown father. Failure to, based on the abandonment by parents, contrary to the welfare findings, were made in a prior order. Reasonable efforts should be made to preserve and unify the family, make it possible for the child to safely return home. The custody of this child with a parent or guardian does present a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. The court orders that this child continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, continue the prior order of the court, and we will move on. And that that the unknown father is a respondent in this matter. And we will move on now to a review. Ms. Walker, do you wish to stay for the review, or do you wish to be excused?
I can be excused, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Walker, you're excused.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I just may, real quickly, I think since we do have a putative father here, maybe a written notice to the putative father ought to be issued by the court. Thank you.
Yes, I will include that as part of my order, that Mr. Salazar is to establish paternity or at least file something within 14 days.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Simpkins.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. As my witness, I would call or ask the court to recall Ms. Magnuson.
Okay, Ms. Magnuson, you're still under oath.
Ms. Magnuson, did you draft and provide the court and attorneys a court service plan as well as a treatment plan, both of which were dated November 25, 2024?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I would ask to admit that as Exhibit 1, Your Honor, and I believe that's my only exhibit.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Your Honor, there was some talk prior to going on the record of just admitting the reports and using those for the review. However, I think we'll take some brief testimony if that pleases the court.
That would be fine. Just a brief summary of how the child's doing is fine.
Excellent. Ms. Magnuson, can you please provide the court and attorneys with a brief summary of how the child is doing?
Yes, the child is flourishing. He is up to date on his medical and his dental. The last dental visit that he had, it was found, sorry, it was found that he has 6 cavities that need to be worked on. that happened coming into care. And since of his age, they need, or the child needs to have to be put under anesthesia. However, the caregiver is unable to find a dentist that will accept his dental insurance. So that is one thing I would like to change. Overall, he has been a typical little 2.5-year-old, acclimating to the family very well. He is also in early on and blossoming with that. And he's also attending daycare as well, interacting very well with the caregiver and her child that she has that resides at home.
All right, thank you. Is the early on working with his speech?
Yes, speech and nutrition on eating.
And then is it also working on sleep? My understanding is that he's got some sleep issues.
Yes.
Okay. How long has he been in early on?
He just recently started within the last month.
Okay. My understanding, based on speaking with Ms. Golden and reviewing your reports, is that he's had very limited contact with his mother as well. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. Ms. Toshimi had 25 scheduled visits through the reporting period. She has only attended 3 of those 25 visits. So that is the very limited contact that she has had with the child.
And the barriers that you established in her treatment plan, are those still the current barriers at this time?
Yes, they are.
Has she been engaging at all in her treatment program?
She has refused our services and to address any barrier.
Okay. And you've already testified at the adjudication portion of this that you've had limited contact with the putative father, Mr. Salazar, correct?
Correct.
Should he wish to participate and become the legal father, would you be able to draft a treatment program for him as well and go through that?
Yes, I would be able to. I would work along with the ICPC. Like I said, I do not know if he is in Texas or Michigan.
Fair enough. And you would expect him to reach out to you and let him know not only where he's living, but how he wants to engage in that as well, correct? And do that with his attorney?
Correct.
Okay. What are your recommendations today?
It is recommended today, respectfully recommended today, that GUJ remains as temporary ward of the court. It is also respectfully recommended that GUJ stays at the caregiver's home that is the placement he is currently resides at, and is respectfully recommended to review this in 90 days.
Okay, thank you very much. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kosorik.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, what's the interaction like when my client does visit with the child? Are there needs that you observe?
I am not the one that supervises the visits. However, I do get the notes in regards to those visits. I've witnessed a few bits and pieces of each of the visits. There is not much engagement. Ms. Toshimi has been noticed that she's been on her phone. One of those visits, her sister and her sister's daughter was in attendance. So the GUJ's cousin played mostly with him while her sister and Ms. Toshimi sat on the couch. There's some engagement, but not enough.
Now, one of the barriers is that my client, Ms. Toshimi, does not have housing. Have you spoken or addressed that issue with her? What can you tell us about that?
Yes, in regards to the housing, she has stated she was homeless. There was times where she was living in the car, in her sister's car. And then she was living at a park on Prairie Parkway for a time, for a time being, where street outreach or the street reach program, I can't remember exactly what it's called, had reached out to her and reached out to me, trying to help her find a home and didn't want to do double the work. And currently right now she is staying at Degage Ministries in a homeless shelter.
Does she have access to a phone?
She has, that has been in the last 2 weeks that she has her own personal cell phone.
And have you had contact with her during the past 2 weeks?
Yes, I have.
And when was the latest contact?
This morning.
And what was the nature of your contact?
It was giving her the Zoom link for this court hearing today. And it was also in regards for her parenting time, that depending on how long this court hearing was going to go, that it may or may not happen. Her response was, okay, I'll just see him Wednesday. Wasn't anything of rescheduling. It's just a quick answer in regards to that.
By reading of your report, the scheduled parenting time is twice weekly on Mondays and Wednesdays, I believe.
Correct.
And do you have one set up coming up for her?
Yes, this Wednesday at 3:00.
And did you have conversation with her about her appearance at that parenting time?
Could you rephrase
All
that?
right, did you at least confirm that she will be coming this Wednesday for her parenting time?
I normally do confirmation the morning of, so doesn't change throughout the day. She did state, she was like, okay, I will see you on Wednesday. The morning of for Wednesday, I usually send a text or a phone call roughly around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning to confirm, so we can have transportation available and so that the caregiver will know where to pick him up from.
Now, in reviewing of the report, it's very indicative that my client, Ms. Twishimi, has some severe mental health issues, correct?
Correct.
What is your plan to address those issues in her parent agency agreement?
I would like to refer her to a psychological evaluation so we can help determine what emotional state that she is or what resources that she may be. But previously, as I had said, she has refused our resources.
Have you made a referral for psychological for Ms. Twishimi?
I have not made a referral. From the very first interaction I had with Ms. Twishimi, our intake was cut off shortly and abruptly by her, stating that you are not listening to me and not respecting my wishes. So the psychological evaluation was never brought up.
All right. You'll, however, attempt to get her to go to a psychological, correct?
Correct.
Likewise, I read in your report that she at least has some contact with Pine Rest.
That was previous when before JUJ had come into service. So it was in the previous CPS report.
All right. Have you attempted to get any of her medical records from Pine Rest?
I have not. I need an ROI in order to retrieve those medical records, and she will not sign.
Will you at least try to convince her to sign a release of information?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Thank you. So Mr. Salazar is present. He needs to contact you as soon as possible and give you as much information about himself as he can. Would you agree?
Yes.
And the judge has already established that he has 14 days to get something filed. So he really needs to get with his attorney that's can assist him. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And this ICPC, you'll try to keep that, reinitiate it, keep that going, should he give you the necessary information. Is that correct?
We will reinitiate it if once the information is given.
Okay. And if you do contact or come in contact with the mother, you understand that if she fills out an AOP, we could do this a lot faster than a whole paternity action. But that is her right. She doesn't have to fill that out if she doesn't want to. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Simpkins, any follow-up?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any follow-up?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Simpkins, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any witnesses?
No evidence, Your Honor.
Ms. Newhouse, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, statements. Mr. Simpkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, excuse me. I spoke with Ms. Golden. She indicated to me that she saw the child on, I believe, last Friday morning, and that the child is doing well. I think that all the recommendations here are appropriate. I would like to see the mother in this case obviously engage in her treatment plan, but that remains to be seen. I would also encourage Mr. Salazar to contact Ms. Magnuson and begin the process of everything that's already been laid out here in our court hearing. So with that, I agree with the recommendations and would ask the court to adopt them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kosorik.
Thank you, Your Honor. Not having any input from my client, I take no positions on the recommendations. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clapp.
Sorry about that. I support the recommendations and support what Mr. Kozorik's doing on behalf of our client.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Thank you. Your Honor, I've spoken with my client. I believe he understands what he needs to do. And I know that Ms. Coletti has reached out to him and wants to assist him. My questions to Ms. Magnuson kind of outlined what he needs to do and going forward, how important it is that he do something here. So we support the recommendations. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute. The reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and unify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home. That in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause this child to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by the mother or the unknown father. That the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting the child's needs. That the needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that the child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the putative father was present at this hearing and shall establish paternity within 14 days. That the adjudicated respondents, the mother and the unknown father, shall comply with and benefit from the case service plan. Continue the order that mother is to sign any necessary releases. Mr. Salazar, you've heard what you need to do. The court has appointed you an attorney, Ms. Coletti, to assist you with establishing paternity so that this case can proceed in a more orderly fashion. It is your right not to do that if you don't want to, but I'm going to give you, as I said, 14 days to get something filed. My understanding is Ms. Coletti's ready and able to do it. She just needs you to review it with her and probably sign some things. You also need to contact Ms. Magnuson so that she is aware what's going on with you. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen in the next 2 weeks, then you will no longer have any standing. Well, you don't have any standing now, but you will not be able to participate at all in this case. The court will be discharging Ms. Newhouse as the attorney, and the case will proceed without you. So that's where we are. I'll continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, March 11 at 9 a.m.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
Yes, Your Honor, for me, I have a trial in front of Judge Gottlieb.
Okay, we'll look for another date.
If we could do maybe later in the day, I know my client's in Texas and with the time change, I don't know if it's 2 hours or 3 hours, but.
Okay.
My trial is set for a whole day.
Okay, we'll just pick a different day.
Mr. Kosorik, how about March 13? Are you still in trial?
Nope, should be done.
And afternoon, we could do 2 o'clock. Is that late
Fine.
enough?
I'm going to be out of town.
All right.
The 13th through the 21st. Sorry.
Okay, so let's go earlier.
So it's gonna have to be earlier, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, Tuesday, March 4th at 3 p.m.
I have mental commitment hearings all afternoon that day.
How about Friday, March 7th, anytime in the afternoon?
It's fine.
That's fine.
2 o'clock?
Yes.
Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Father Antonio Salazar. We have Mother's Attorney Roman Kosorik, Mother's Guardian Ad Litem Charlie Clapp. We have Kristen Newhouse representing Mr. Salazar, the father. Mary Golden representing the child, and various agency workers. Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Michelle Magnuson.
All right. Ms. Magnuson, would you raise your right
Ms.
hand?
Magnuson, you are the foster care worker for GJ, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and he remains in the same foster home that he was in the last quarter, is that correct?
That is correct.
And how is he doing there?
He is doing very well, very adjusted. Did you want me to go on with services he has and what they're doing?
Yeah, so what services is he receiving?
Well, he is in early on education program, and that is just to help with his speech. He follows directions. He's starting to know his colors and numbers, sharing toys, putting sentences together.
Okay, and I noted that he did have some food issues initially when he came into care.
Correct.
He wasn't willing to eat, and they were working with him on that. And how is he doing now?
He is doing well. He eats pretty much anything that you give him there. He still enjoys having his fruits, but he is getting well-rounded meals.
Okay, and it sounds like he had his tubes put in his ears and his adenoids removed recently. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And since that time, it sounds like he's sleeping better because he had trouble sleeping. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as far as, is he up to date on other medical, all well child checkups?
He has a well child checkup scheduled in April for his 3-year-old checkup. He is up to date with his dental. There is a dental procedure coming up April 18th because he has some cavities and he's going to be getting some sealants on his teeth, and there will be 4 teeth to remove for decay.
And it sounds like he's going to have his 2 front teeth removed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what about immunizations?
He is not up to date on immunizations. Ms. Twishimi refused to have him have immunizations. However, she has not signed the waiver at the health department. And at this time, since Mr. Salazar is now present, that is something to be discussed if he will give consent, since now he's legal father.
Okay. Before we go on to him though, anything else about GJ?
He is learning to be potty trained. He's been doing very well at that. I think there's only a pull-up at night. He has a great bond with the caregiver and the family, and he's thriving.
Okay. So let's go on to then the father. We now have Mr. Salazar, who's here today, has become the legal father. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so have you prepared some type of treatment plan for him?
Well, Mr. Salazar moved to Michigan just recently as of February 21st. He showed up unexpectedly at our office on February 24th, so I was able to do an intake with him.
So have you identified his needs?
Not to a full extent. He had reported to me that he has a house. It took over a week in order to get the address, so therefore a home visit has not been scheduled yet.
But you'll be doing that in the near future, correct?
Of course, yes.
Okay. And what about, is he employed?
He states that he is self-employed and no verifications have been given as of yet.
And do you know what his self-employment, what it is, what he does?
Yeah, in the construction area.
Okay. And so will you be talking to him about finances and a budget?
Yes.
Okay. And have you identified any other needs?
Well, typically in the beginning, we always like to do a psychological evaluation just to see if there's any needs in regards for therapy. I did explain the process of what the psychological evaluation is and that we required a release of information. So he stated he wanted to take the release of information and have his lawyer look it over before he signed it.
Okay.
So nothing has been scheduled for that.
And I think he does have somewhat of a criminal background, but there's no pending charges or anything like that, correct?
Correct, not pending. And there's not a lot of information in regards for the criminal history. When he was in Texas, we did do an expedited ICPC, and he had declined that, stating that he was going to be moving to Michigan. And obviously it took about at least 4 months for him to move to Michigan. So we were unable to obtain any criminal history. He did disclose to me that he was in federal prison for 3 years from 2012 to 2015 in Michigan. And that was in regards to import of marijuana.
Okay. But you'll be talking to him further about to identify if there's any other needs, correct?
Correct.
And so it sounds like he wasn't aware that he was the father, so he doesn't have like a relationship yet with GJ. Is that correct?
That is correct.
However, it sounds like he did have a visit with GJ recently.
Yes, he has. He's had 2 visits.
Okay.
Very engaged. GJ he goes with the flow, but Mr. Salazar had been very engaged during those 2 visits.
So what's the plan going forward as far as visits with him?
Mr. Salazar will have 2 visits a week from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday and Wednesdays. They will be supervised at the agency. And that is what we have for the visits.
Okay, is there anything else about Mr. Salazar before we go on to the mother?
Just in regards to communication, in the very beginning, when we did find out that he was the legal father, for a couple of months, there was no communication. And recently it's been somewhat hard to communicate with him. He's either doesn't respond or respond a few days later. I mean, there is still some sort of response. However, just trying to obtain the address took over a week to get, and he still has not provided a photo ID either from Texas or from Michigan, if that is a driver's license or a state ID.
Okay, and going back to his housing, is he living with anyone or does he live alone?
That I do not know. He stated he was renting a home from a friend. So therefore, when a home visit that will be conducted, that will be determined. However, he has stated that he is not in a relationship. I don't know if there are any roommates in the home.
Okay, and if there are, though, you would talk to him about verifying their criminal history and any CPS history with any roommates, correct?
Correct.
Okay, anything else before we go on to the mother?
Just more or less to know of just criminal history. He's had some CPS reports in the past. We just have not received them because they were in Texas.
Okay, so once you get those, will you provide those to everyone?
Of course.
Okay, so regarding Miss Tushimi, have you had
Yes.
any contact with her?
I have. She has been at times hard to contact. She has had different phone numbers, so her communication is not the greatest. She has. Do you want me to go into services right now? Or
Yes, let's talk about housing. Where is she residing?
She is currently residing with her father, and the address has been given, but she has refused to allow me to do a home visit, stating that that is not where she will be living when she has GJ back.
Okay, and what about employment? Is she employed?
She stated that she was employed or I don't know if it's a company or if it's a position, a liaison interpretation services. She has not provided any verification for that.
Okay, and does she know that she needs to, one, allow you to go into the house wherever she's residing? Is she aware of that?
Yes.
And is she also aware that she needs to provide proof of employment?
Yes.
Okay, and if she provides it, will you also be talking to her about finances and a budget?
Yes.
Okay, what about for emotional stability? Let's talk about that barrier.
She has not completed a psychological evaluation. She has, two of them have been scheduled and she has not attended either one. Her next one, and this is the third time that it would be rescheduled, is March 25th, 2025. We have offered her therapy services through Bethany. She has refused those. It was stated between a conversation from her sister that she was in a psychiatric hospital for 2 weeks. I asked Ms. Tushimi in regards to that, and she stated yes. And I asked where and when, and if an ROI or release of information was possible. And she says that's not necessary, and she refused to do so.
And have you told her that you need that release signed and you need those records?
I have, and she didn't see that it was pertinent or pertaining to this case.
Have you had a conversation with her of like what she needs to do in order to get her child returned to her care?
I have. She has refused many services. And this is the conclusion that I have received from her, that really the only reason why that GJ was taken from her is that she did not have a home. And nothing else seemed to be the matter. So she has refused many services.
What about school? She was talking about college in the very beginning of this case. What's going on in that area?
Correct. She has informed me that she enrolled at GRCC and will be starting March of this year, but there's been no verifications in regards to that as well.
And have you told her that she needs to provide proof of that as well?
Yes.
Okay. What about parenting time?
She has attended 11 out of 20 parenting times. During those times, she is not that engaged with GJ. There are times that she will just have a video on, or she's taking pictures of him or videos of him. There's not a lot of interaction. There has been, go ahead.
Does she have to provide like a dinner for him or a lunch depending on when she sees him?
I would say once in a while, but not all the time. It seems she's bringing food for herself to eat.
Okay, and so the visits, you said she's had 11 out of 20. How often are they scheduled?
They are scheduled twice a week, Monday and Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, and do you know why she's only attended 11 out of 20?
There was times that she was out of town. There was one time that she stated that she had to go to work. And this was knowledge that was not given to me that she had a job. So there was conflicting information stating whether if she was going to be going to school, she wasn't going to be working at all. So it's just very much conflicting. But with other times that she missed, there was a time that she forgot to send a text stating, "Oh, I forgot I had this." Just it was a lack of communication. She had confirmed before, and that she didn't show up. And then there's been times that she has been at the visits coming late.
Okay, and do you think she needs some type of parenting class?
I do. We wanted to refer her to the Parenting After Trauma as a class that is provided by the agency, and she has refused for that.
So as far as her overall progress, she hasn't made a lot of progress, correct?
Correct.
What are your recommendations today?
My recommendations is that GJ remains temporary ward of the court. It is respectfully recommended that GJ continues at the current placement. It is respectfully recommended that Ms. Tushimi and Mr. Salazar follow what is their PATP. It is respectfully recommended that the visits are unsupervised or supervised by the agency's discretion, and it is respectfully submitted to review this in 90 days.
Okay, and you will be talking to Mr. Salazar about the immunizations, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because it sounded like the last hearing, there was concerns about the daycare where the child is, that they really want all of those children immunized, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you authored a case service plan for today, is that correct?
Correct.
With parent agency treatment plans attached?
Correct.
Your Honor, the date of that report is 2/18/2025. I'd ask to be marked as Exhibit 1 and move for its submission.
Any objections?
Objection.
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have no objection except that as of last hearing, I have yet to receive a report from the agency. I've been on this case for at least 6 to 9 months, and I need the reports in a timely fashion.
Agreed. All right, they're admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kosoric.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Magnuson. Needless to say, my client, Mr. Tushimi, right from the beginning, it was very obvious there are some mental health issues that need to be addressed. Fair statement?
Yes.
All right. You've testified you've set up psychologicals through HRA, and there's the third round is coming up here sometime late this month, correct?
On March 25th.
All right. Do you know whether or not her 2 prior not appearances at those were due to transportation?
I do not. She was aware of the evaluations. It had not been confirmed or even stated to me if she was needing a ride. If transportation was needed, it would have been sought that she would have that transportation.
All right. Can you, next time you speak with her and have contact with her, will you ask her that question? And then if she does not have transportation, is the agency willing to transport her for that psychological?
Yes, I would ask her about the transportation, and if she does not have it, the agency will have transport available. And
she, as you testified, she did at least slightly over 50% parenting time she's exercised.
Correct.
Which is an improvement over the last report period, is it not?
Correct.
And for the most part, although you've testified she doesn't really fully engage with the GJ, her at least contact with him and interaction is otherwise appropriate.
I have not supervised all the visits. I do know she was working with a parenting coach. which she was discharged. That was due for inconsistency prior with the attendance. It's just been recently that she has been somewhat consistent with the attendance. As for acting appropriately, there had been a few times that I'm not necessarily inappropriate with with GJ, but there's been times where it was notated during the visit, she would just go and stare at our camera and like literally stand in the room and stare at the camera for a short period of time. This is why we're so adamant about having a psychological evaluation.
Right. And that's obvious that there are mental health issues that need to be addressed.
Correct.
And we don't know very much about her mental health history, do we?
No, we do not.
It's imperative that she do the psychological.
Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Newhouse?
Thank you. So Mr. Salazar's visits are 2 times a week, just for an hour each, right?
Correct.
And wouldn't you agree that it's important that we get as much bonding and connection between the two as possible?
Correct.
When you, in your recommendations, you asked for supervised or would you consider moving to unsupervised so he could get additional time as he continues to work services with you?
I would say not at this time due to obtaining the criminal history and the past CPS history. It would be discretion by the agency once we get that information.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not talking today, but I'm saying he gets some visits under his belt, things go great, you get that back and there's no concerns, then you would like the discretion to give him more time, I would imagine, and maybe even unsupervised within this next reporting period. Correct. At your discretion.
Yes, at our discretion.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
and that would be determined with his consistency on attending the visitations. We would probably slowly work from supervised at the agency to go to supervised in the community, see how well that goes. And then if it's consistent, and it would be at our discretion to go to unsupervised so he could have more time, depending on how long that will take.
Okay. And how old is GJ right now?
He is 2.5. He will be 3 in April.
Okay. So, you know, as he's getting older here, there's things in the community, plus the weather's going to get nicer. There's things that Mr. Salazar could do with him, parks, things like that. Correct?
Correct.
All right. And from what you said, GJ seems very open to connecting with his dad.
Yes. I do not know if GJ is aware of that. Mr. Salazar is his father. This is under my own assumption, just another man in his life.
Okay.
But yes, it will take time.
That's fair. Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
Just one, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, though, as far as Mr. Salazar and getting more parenting time, another piece of it is that, and he's been willing to give you information, but we need the rest of the information, right? His criminal background history, any CPS history, we need all of that as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as so long as you get that and the visits continue to go well, then you could look at expanding them, correct?
Correct.
Great, thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Kasorik, any follow-up?
Got to unmute first. No other questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse, any follow-up?
Oh, thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, any additional witnesses or evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik?
No evidence, Your Honor.
Ms. Newhouse?
No evidence, Your Honor, today. Thank you.
All right. Statements, Ms. Golden?
Your Honor, I did have a chance to see GJ today. He's an adorable little boy. And it sounds like he's made a lot of progress. Food was a big issue, and it sounds like he's overcome that. I think the foster parents meeting all of his needs. He's very bonded with them. And I do support all of the recommendations. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Newhouse, I'm sorry, Mr. Kasorik.
Your Honor, I take no positions on the recommendations.
Thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Well, we're excited to have Mr. Salazar in town, ready to work services, and he fully intends to get custody of his child. He's done the appropriate parenting or paperwork and everything. We do need to do a small amendment of the temporary order for custody and parenting time. We can put that in next time, but I'm real proud of the hard work he's done, and I know he will faithfully attend his visits and connect with his child and do what he needs to do to begin unsupervised visitation. Then he'll get more time with his child, and we support the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Kozork is doing a fine job under difficult circumstances, and I ask you to follow the recommendations.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute. The court will amend its findings from prior orders to indicate that Antonio Salazar is the legal father of GJ. That returning the child today to a parent would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being due to the fact that the mother has made no progress in this case, and the father is just starting to work his treatment plan. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return to a parent's home. That in accordance with the statute, that progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that caused this child to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by the mother. And I should have mentioned this before, we have not adjudicated on Mr. Salazar yet.
We have not.
All right.
It's my understanding, Your Honor, I did get something from the agency that said a Sanders petition is in the works.
Okay, thank you. That the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting the child's needs, that the needs of this child can be met in a foster family home. It is ordered that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the adjudicated respondent, Ms. Tashimi, shall comply with and benefit from the case service plan. Continue the order for her to sign any necessary releases. That parenting time of the mother is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. The parenting time of Mr. Salazar is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. Continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next review hearing?
Yes, it depends on how long, just 30 minutes.
Should be.
Yeah, I think we can get it done in 30 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna have to go much earlier than 3 months. So we can do May 13th from 8:30 to 9.
That works.
Yeah, it works for me.
Mr. Clapp?
That should, yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. We'll see you on May 13th from 8:30 to 9. And Mr. Salazar, I too am very pleased to see that you're back in Michigan and that it looks like you're getting off on the right foot and going to be working hard to unite, I should say, with your son. All right. Is there anything further? Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Laura Clifton. We have the mother, Ms. Toshimi, her attorney, Mr. Kasorik, Stacey Van Dyken, who's here for attorney Charlie Clapp as mother's GAL. We have father Antonio Salazar, his attorney Cynthia Rathburn, who is here for Kristen Newhouse, the child's attorney Mary Golden, various agency workers, and we also have an assistant prosecuting attorney observing. I think I got everybody. All right, and we are here for an adjudication in this matter. Ms. Clifton.
Yes, sure. We are, Your Honor. We had a prelim that was authorized on March 11, 2025. Since that time, Mr. Salazar has been working diligently with the agency to rectify any concerns that were initially presented to CPS. And at this time, we are not moving forward on that petition. We would like to withdraw it.
Great. Ms. Golden.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Rathburn.
Yes, Your Honor. It's my understanding that Ms. Newhouse has been talking this through with Mr. Salazar, and they would definitely agree to having the petition withdrawn.
All right. Mr. Kazorik.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no objection to the withdrawal of the petition as to the father.
All right. Thank you. The court will accept the withdrawal of the petition. Ms. Clifton, do you wish to be excused?
Yes, please.
All right. You are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also, in this case, have a review hearing that was noticed out for May 13th. But it's my understanding that The parties wish to proceed with that review hearing today to eliminate the need to come back in less than a week. Is that correct?
Yes,
That-
Your Honor.
That is correct, Your Honor. And for the record, I've discussed that matter with Ms. Twishimi, and she has no objection to that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Golden,
Your Honor, I agree with that. And do you want me to?
you prepared to go on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to call Michelle Magnuson.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Magnuson, GJ is currently residing in the same foster home that he's been in for several months, correct?
Correct.
And how's he doing there?
He's doing very well. He's growing as a 3-year-old. He's getting along with the caregiver's daughter. He's been going to early on. He recently had tubes put in his ears, so it's been improving his speech. He's a very smart little boy. He's starting to be potty trained. Just overall happy, healthy. He is going to be having a dental procedure coming up shortly due to some teeth that are rotten and cavities that need to be taken care of.
When is that going to occur? Do we know?
They are on the waiting list at the moment. When he was under the age of 3, they had to do it at Helen DeBosch Children's Hospital through sedation, and that had almost a year waiting for him to get that done. But now he is 3. They can do it in a different way and administer medication in the office.
Okay, so he's developmentally on track, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and is he up to date on immunizations?
That I do not know.
Okay, but you'll check on that and report to everyone, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and he's had visits with Mr. Salazar, correct?
Correct.
And how often does he see him?
Twice a week for 1 hour each time.
Okay, and how do those visits go?
They go wonderfully. Well engagement, a lot of activities together for what you can do with a 3-year-old. Mr. Salazar is always bringing food, making sure that he's eating. And yeah, you can tell that there is a bond being created.
So what are you planning on visits moving forward with Mr. Salazar?
Moving forward is going to go from being supervised to unsupervised, or possibly supervising out in the community, say how things go. If they go well, then we're going to start doing the unsupervised and then start doing overnights and weekends.
Okay, and so right now you said it's 1 hour twice a week. So what will it look at, say, in the next week?
Are you saying of increasing the hours?
Yes, yes. Are you planning on increasing the hours starting actually this week?
We have not planned on increasing the hours due to Ms. Toshimi having her visit right after Mr. Salazar. And also it is due to GJ's schedule that he has at the daycare, just so that he is able to have their snack, have a nap, and then be ready to go. So that has not been talked about, increasing hours.
So you'll be working with Mr. Salazar on that in the next couple of weeks, correct? And
Correct.
the foster mom, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And as far as, I know there were a lot of questions about Mr. Salazar, like where he was living and all of that. Have you been out to his home? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have done a home visit at where he is living. He's renting right now a full home. It is appropriate for GJ. He has his own bed there, which is already set up by Mr. Salazar. There's no one else living in the house besides Mr. Salazar's dog, Tilly.
Okay. And did you say he's leasing?
He is renting right now.
Okay. And what about employment? I know employment was another issue. Where is he working?
He is employed with 2 different positions. I did get their names and numbers to call to verify. One of the name of the company I forgot. I cannot recall the name of the company. But
in your report, it says he's working for John Hendricks, and it looks
Correct.
like Monday through Friday from 8 to 12. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Making $18 an hour.
Correct.
And then it looks like you said he's working for Charlie Morales 1 or 2 days a week.
Yes, at $250 per day.
Okay. And it sounds like there's also he has a home that he's renting in Texas.
That is correct.
So he's getting about $750 per month.
Correct.
So do you believe he has enough income to provide for him and GJ?
Yes.
Okay. Are there, I know you said something about him doing a psychological. Have you had any concerns with his emotional or mental health?
No.
Okay. And what about communication? How's that been?
He's had a couple different numbers, but when he does get the new number, he does reach out and saying, this is my new number. Just some of the communication is more or less of requesting documentation. However, Mr. Salazar has fulfilled the request from the agency on those documents.
Okay. And it looks like he reported that he smokes marijuana occasionally and you did a drug screen on him, correct?
Correct.
And did you get the results of that?
I did, and it did come back positive for marijuana, which he told me that he had done on 4/20.
And did you talk to him about like a safety plan when GJ is finally returned to him?
We have not discussed the safety plan as of yet, just because the results came in just the other day and I saw Mr. Salazar for a quick 2 minutes during his visit with GJ.
Okay, but you'll talk about that with him.
Of
correct?
course.
And then as far as domestic relationships, it sounds like he's not in a relationship right now, and there's been no concerns about domestic violence in the past. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Anything else about Mr. Salazar?
Nothing negative to report. He's been very engaging. He has been improving on his communication. He's just the conversations have been going very well.
And it's not, I mean, all the questions we were concerned about, housing, employment, all of that, and he's given you all of that information now, and you've been correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what about the mother in this case, Miss Toshimi? How's your communication been with her?
The communication I've had with Miss Twishimi is mainly just confirming for visits. She's has not attended all visits. I'm trying to remember exactly on how many. There's a few where GJ was out on spring break with a caregiver, but she has probably attended a little more than half of her visits. The other communication, she does not really want to use any resources that we have that we've offered to her.
Okay, we'll go over that in a minute. And I just want to tell you, so in your report, you said she had 17 parenting time visits and she attended 11 of them, correct?
Correct.
And it sounds like 2 visits she just missed and 4 of them were missed because GJ was out of town on vacation with the foster parents. Is that correct?
There is 2 that was for the vacation and then 2 that he was ill.
Oh, okay. And as far as referrals, I know you had referred her to a psychological, I think on 3 separate occasions, and she missed all of those. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I think you also referred her to a parenting after trauma class, which she has refused to attend. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I know she is now not homeless. She's residing, I think, with is it her father and stepmother or?
I believe so.
Okay. Have you been out to the home?
I have not been out there.
And why is that?
She has not allowed me to go out there, stating that is not where she's planning on living. It's only temporary, so it's unnecessary to have a home visit.
Okay, and I know early on in this case, she talked about she was planning on enrolling at GRCC. Do you know if she's going to school?
She told me she had enrolled into GRCC, was supposed to start yesterday. I'm like, sorry, yesterday on Monday. She did not attend, really did not give a reason why.
Okay, and as far as employment, do you know if she's working?
She's not currently working right now.
Okay. And so when she has visits, how often does she see GJ? Yeah. How often does she see him?
She sees him twice weekly for 1 hour at a time.
Okay. And I think you said those immediately follow the father's visits, correct?
Correct.
And has there been any concerns during the visits?
There has been some concerns. There's been a little, some lack of engagement. There has been a couple of times that, of inappropriateness may have occurred, which she was talked to about. She was changing his pants because he had wet himself, and she was videotaping him not getting his genitals, but the camera was still on and it went down to his genitals. And I had spoken to her about that, and she's like, "But that is my son. Well, what's the big deal?" And I said, "Well, it's inappropriate and that is not allowed." There was another incident that had happened just the other day. She took him to the restroom. He came out of the restroom stall. Our case aide was there, and he was naked from the waist down. And she's like, "Well, we're not done yet." But if others come in, again, to have that appropriateness, for DJ's sake and for hers and for whoever may have walked in on them.
Do you think then, I mean, we should, as far as the visits, if she takes him into another room, that someone should accompany her?
We do.
Okay. As far as when she's in the visits, is she engaged with GJ?
At times, a lot of times she is making videos of him. There's other times where she's sitting down on the couch, on her phone while he's playing with toys by himself. So there's not been a lot of engagement.
Okay. So what are is there anything else about Ms. Tushimi before you give your recommendations?
I do know, one reason why she's not currently working at this time is that she has some fines that she has to pay in regards to her license. I do not know if it is suspended or not. So that was the reason why she hadn't been working.
Have you talked to her about other transportation like the bus?
We do give her the bus. We give bus passes. We've also come and picked her up. Well, and that's mainly for visits. We don't do that for the transfer for work. And it just doesn't seem to be that big of a deal to her, I guess.
A priority?
Correct.
Okay, so overall, how has she done on her treatment plan?
On any resources that we have offered her, she has refused them. She's just mainly doing things on her own, trying to follow up. Has been hard. Just lack of communication.
What are your recommendations today?
Well, you guys kind of threw me off today. I didn't know we were doing this. So I apologize. Bear with me a moment. I was waiting for next week.
No rush. It's okay. Understand. Ms. Golden, maybe you could help her out.
Yeah, so I'm looking, thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking at it and it says you're recommending GJ remain a temporary court ward and the goal remain reunification, and that's with Mr. Salazar, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And that he remain in his current placement pending return to Mr. Salazar, correct?
Correct.
And that Ms. Tushimi continue to work on barriers and on her treatment plan, correct?
Correct.
And that Mr. Salazar continue to participate with the agency?
That is correct.
Okay. And supervised or unsupervised visits, and is that for Ms. Tushimi or is that just for Mr. Salazar?
That is by the agency's discretion.
For both?
It would be for both, but as for Ms. Tushimi, it wouldn't be supervised, not unsupervised.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Kasorik.
Got to unmute first. Thank you, Your Honor. Real quickly, I know, Ms. Magnuson, you weren't prepared to do a review today, but you will encourage Ms. Tushimi to engage in a case service plan, will you not?
Of course.
And you've been doing this on a regular basis?
Yes.
In reading of your updated service plan, you have lots and lots of details about parenting time between Ms. Tushimi and GJ, correct?
Correct.
And by reading of all of those, there seems to be a pretty strong bond between Ms. Tushimi and GJ, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
And for the most part, her interaction with GJ is appropriate, is it not?
For the most part, yes.
And when she is redirected and given advice about doing something inappropriately, for the most part, she actually listens to the redirection, does she not?
That is correct.
Any reason why her parenting time with GJ is detailed as finely as it is in your updated service plan? And actually, it sounds like his father, Mr. Salazar, has a lot more leeway, and there's not really a whole bunch in there about their bond.
I am not the case aide that watches the visits, so it is what is reported by the case aides. Those are the notes in regards to that. A possibility is that we've been working with Mr. Tushimi longer than Mr. Salazar. I do not have an answer on that.
All right. Needless to say, Ms. Tushimi has some mental health challenges, does she not?
I believe so.
Have you met with her in person?
Yes.
How many times?
I see her at least once a month, if not more. Depending if I have to pick her up for her visiting time, we'll always chat in the car.
All right. And are your conversations appropriate for the most part?
Yes.
Wonderful. You'll keep working with her, will you not?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Rathburn.
Well, thank you. Well, Ms. Magnuson, I know we're kind of catching you off guard with having this whole adjudication just kind of fall away. And so you're understanding the premise, though, is that Mr. Salazar is not a respondent, so he doesn't have to work a treatment plan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and maybe I was just thinking about it as you were struggling through some questions, which we all get. Maybe it'd be best to set up an FTM next week with Mr. Salazar and the team, and that way you all can come up with a plan to start, doing this transition forward.
Yes.
It'd probably make more sense to have input from everybody at that time, so. Okay, great. So, and I'm just substituting for Miss Newhouse, but I think she would definitely want to be as helpful as she could be to help guide this forward and to answer any questions for Mr. Salazar. I think with him working, I don't know if he has a plan for daycare, and that might be something to help him get his feet on the ground ahead of time so that he's got good plans in place before this little guy comes back.
Yes.
All right, very good. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
Just real quick, Ms. Magnuson, do you think it'd be helpful if Mr. Salazar could provide some pictures of his place and the dog to the foster mom so that they can start talking to GJ about like where he's going to go and
Yes, I've already spoken to Mr. Salazar yesterday about that.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kasorik, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Rathburn, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Kasorik, any witnesses or evidence?
No witnesses, no evidence.
Ms. Rathburn, same question.
No witness or evidence. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden, statement.
Your Honor, I do agree with the recommendations. I would urge the agency, though, to keep mother's visit supervised, given some of the, I don't know if I say bizarre, but just some behaviors that are concerning. And I would urge the agency, yes, to have an FTM so we can sit down and talk about a transition plan for GJ to return to his father's care. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kasorik.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would simply urge the agency to reach out to Ms. Twishimi on a more regular basis. And I think because of the challenges, mental health challenges that she has, I think that a little bit more efforts required under the case law and under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I would really urge him to work with Ms. Twishimi a little bit more often. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Van Dyken.
I believe the statements of Mr. Kasorik and support the same, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. Ms. Rathburn.
I would support the recommendations, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, provided that the LGAL provides verification that she's done that within a reasonable amount of time. Again, we kind of did this review on the fly, so there's a couple pieces that need to be finalized here, and one of them is the visit with the child. That returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, and mental well-being. That's based on the need for a transition plan, and we're just not quite there yet, but we're close. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification continue, that in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that caused this child to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by Ms. Tashimi, that the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate and is meeting the child's needs, that his needs can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that Ms. Tashimi comply with and benefit from the case service plan and sign any necessary releases, that Ms. Tashimi's parenting time is supervised until further order of the court. I will continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for another review hearing?
Yes, one moment, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may, for clarification on the order, you said that he would continue as a ward in the care and custody at DHHS. Do we need to indicate in the order or Mr. Salazar?
I am not ready to do a dual order yet. I think the agency can place a child with a parent with 7 days notice, and if there's no objection or no request for hearing, it can happen. There's too many questions yet.
No, that's all right. I just wanted clarification on that.
Yep, no.
Okay, I have July 31st at 10 a.m.
Any conflicts with that date
That
or
works for
time?
me.
Okay, and we don't have, Mr. Kosorik.
I'm looking, there's,
Okay,
what time?
10 a.m.
Shouldn't take us over an hour, should it?
No.
no.
Okay. And then, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Do we need to schedule an hour, Your Honor, or is 30 minutes? Okay.
I'm good with 30 minutes, Your Honor, unless Mr.
Okay.
Kosorik isn't.
I'm fine.
Okay, then that's what we'll plan on. If we need more, we need to know about it so that we can change it on the schedule.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Salazar?